And we are going to our Jermont Terry right now, who I understand is in a position where the crowd is walking up Michigan and going toward him. If we can go back to Jermont.
Yes, Marie, we are currently at State and Adams, and this group is currently heading west on Adams in the direction of Federal Plaza, where they started around 6:15. So here we are about 50 minutes into their demonstration. They're now coming back towards the Federal Plaza. As Sabrina mentioned, this is a very large group. If we pan a little up, I want to show them. This is the air support. Pan up, Pat. You can see that Chicago police, they have been monitoring this, not just from the ground, but the air support. That is what they've been dealing with. And as this group comes down Adams here, they are just coming down in the middle of traffic. They're blocking traffic without any escort whatsoever. And this is where the confusion can come about when you're just driving and the crew and a bunch of people start coming down the streets. We're going to keep a safe distance as this group has been marching for close to an hour now. Where they are going next to be determined, but you can see that this large group, close to 400 that started out at Federal Plaza, has made their way through the streets of downtown Chicago. And as we approach the 7 o'clock hour, this group continues to march. Where they are going to be determined. Chicago police, as we mentioned, they have been staging. See, you just saw a young lady. People are getting caught in this, not knowing what they're just trying to get home, and they're seeing the demonstrations. That's what that lady experienced. State Street, as I mentioned here, between Adams and Monroe, is where Chicago police have been staging. They have somewhat eased this way, which allowed for this demonstration and these demonstrators to continue to march. They are now heading north on State, not in the direction of Federal Plaza, where they're going to be determined. But they again have been marching for close to an hour, trying to get their voices heard about their opposition to the way that the Trump administration has been dealing with these immigration processes with ICE as a whole. All right, as you understand, there are many people, when we give a live event, people are going to try to agitate even the media, and we're trying our best to curb that as well. But for the most part, this is what we have been experiencing in the streets of downtown, and they are marching now. We hear them saying, "Whose streets? Our streets." There are plenty chants. Many groups are out here, but for the most part, we're going to monitor this group, Joe and Marie, and see exactly where they go. If we had to guess, we would imagine that they will eventually head back to Federal Plaza, where they started just close to an hour ago. Sending back to you now.
Jermont, thank you. And that gives us a sense that was the beginning of this march. And Sabrina was already back pretty far south on Michigan Avenue, so it gives you a sense of just how long this path is, and we'll continue to watch to see where they're going next. You see a lot of signs, a lot of people wanting to make their voices heard, protesting against actions by ICE in Los Angeles and in other parts of this country. I want to talk about a little bit about what's happening in the Loop. If you have someone who's either a part of this protest or someone who is caught in traffic, I know it's not the biggest headline, but it might impact you or your family. There are several streets, because of this march, shut down as it continues to move. It's been tough to get buses through, CTA, lots of just many impacts. If you have anyone who's been down here or is trying to get home, it likely will be like that for some time as this group moves. But you do see, you don't see plainclothes, but you do see many police officers from CPD mixed into this crowd. No doubt they might be on that back side, so they're not necessarily at this side that we're seeing with Jermont's camera. But we have watched as, especially on bikes, these bike officers are ahead of the crowd, behind it, and also alongside it in order to provide some level of protection. Also, there you see CPD air support keeping an eye on this group. Joe, you brought up an interesting point. We have talked to our viewers about that red vehicle that went through a crowd of people earlier this evening. No injuries reported as of this moment. We're still working to confirm that. But we're wondering if our helicopter was able to follow that car. Curious if CPD had a resource that was also able to follow that car.
Well, if you're just joining us, here is that video of the car blasting through the demonstrators and almost hitting a handful of them there, and then another one who was lucky to get out of the way, and then you'll see again a police officer here at the end. tapping it, but the car was able to blast through. I think as we've watched this, the crowd has just gotten so large that it's become almost unmanageable for CPD, because in the early part of this demonstration, I would say around 3 or 4, part of this group passed right through our street side studio at Dearborn and Washington, right at Daley Plaza. And the group was only about a half a block long, and the police were able to set up their bikes and direct this group the way they wanted them to go. But I think it got to a point where there were so many of them, there just was no way CPD could get either ahead of or on all sides of this.
That's true. Sabrina, I know we're coming back to you. Have you seen CPD sticking with the crowd in that consistent fashion, or have things really sort of spread out from your perspective?
It does seem like things have started to spread, especially after we made that loop in Grant Park and now are making our way pretty much back to where this protest began, closer to State Street, Federal Plaza. This group is more so trailing the front that you mentioned, where Chicago police are with their bicycles. People chanting, very peaceful from this portion, and I guess because of just the sheer width of State Street, there is plenty of space for people to spread out, so it does not feel as condensed as it felt when we were in Federal Plaza, when we were standing and there were cars that were nearby. There are some cars right here that are stuck. As you mentioned, that this is causing many traffic issues, traffic concerns. Some people sticking out their heads from the windows and supporting these protests. Others seemingly just don't really know what to do because they're stuck in the middle of a massive crowd on their way home, presumably from work here. So if you forgive me for looking back just to make sure we don't hit anything, these protesters are now weaving their way through these cars, in addition to weaving their way through the streets and around the loop to continue their protest. And I don't suspect, Marie, that this crowd won't feel in any way that it'll be completely as, widely spread as it was just a few moments ago, because as we've been following them, it's almost as if it's an accordion effect where people have really just consolidated and then spread out as this trail of people continues to make their way around.
And I'm seeing people that are taking videos of the protests on their cell phones. I'm seeing tourists. And I also have to think about those buses. It's possible, I'm wondering if we can peek in, if they were put there as more of a safety measure, or if those are commuters that are on those buses and stopped in traffic at this point.
We've definitely seen a mix of both.
Okay.
There are some people that are honking in solidarity. Yes, I've seen some officers parked on the sides here, but for example, you have all of these buses that don't say out of service. It seems as if they're kind of stuck here. And there are some folks that are with their hazards on, just parked because they don't really know what to do or how long this crowd will go for before they can continue moving, which is also dangerous because we've seen people try to peel off and make a turn to get out of the crowd, only to be met with the crowd once again at the next intersection. So if you're downtown and you're trying to get around, it's going to be incredibly difficult just because of the sheer size of this crowd.
Right. Even as a peaceful protest, it is creating some circumstances that we'll be dealing with possibly for a few more hours. But Sabrina, thank you for giving us a sense of what things look like on the ground right now.
Let's check back in with Jermont. Jermont, last time we saw you, you were at State, and I think this group was heading north from where you are, right? Where are you now?
We're still at State and Adams right now. You can see this group, but we also have police blocking streets. We're going to pan a little bit to the left and piggyback on what's to the right and show you what Sabrina was just talking about. These are buses, the 29th State CTA bus. These are people trying to get home. The buses are on their regular routes along busy State Street, and they cannot move. They're being directed and rerouted around this crowd. So yes, people who rely on the CTA are impacted, as this group, several hundred, if not 1,000, are walking throughout the streets. They are now heading north on State Street, a large and diverse group of people, all voicing their concerns about the actions that have been taking place by ICE. But as Sabrina was talking about, we know this is impacting people just trying to get home because they want to disrupt the flow to bring their message very clear that something needs to be done. Those were the words echoed when this group started out this early evening at Federal Plaza. And here we are more than an hour later. They continue to march the streets of downtown, and this is one of many protests that we are expecting in the days to come as people across the country, and specifically here in Chicago, are in fact voicing their outrage by what they believe the Trump administration is doing. Whether they like it or not, they're not satisfied. Again, as I want to point out, this is a very diverse group. I have seen just about every ethnic group out here, people of different races, all voicing their concerns. So while this is about immigration, you have people here in Chicago who are just voicing their outrage, and they are not happy. I am surprised by the amount of people who continue to come down Adams and heading north on State Street. I've been in this location, Joe and Marie, for about 10 minutes, and we saw the original shot when they were coming west on Adams, and here they are more than 15 minutes later. I do not see an end to this group. We do know, as we pointed out, Chicago police, they are monitoring this on the ground. They also have their air support. We know that CPD has several choppers, and they are most definitely monitoring this, trying to allow the group to voice their opinion and their civil rights to protest, but they want to make sure this is done in a safe manner. We did see at least 2 individuals being detained, placed into the transport vehicles for various reasons. Why, we do not know, but I can say for the vast majority of this group who has been walking around the loop for more than an hour, we've seen a lot of peaceful demonstration, and that continues now in the close 7 o'clock hour. So that's what we have here at State and Adams as this group continues to move north on State. Where they're going to be determined, but you can depend on CBS News Chicago and our team to give you the very latest as this continues to navigate through the downtown area. Back to you, Joe and Marie.
Jermont, thank you so much. I did want to ask you, as we talk about the reason why so many people are out here, it looks to me like the majority, understandably, the majority of the signs out there are referencing ICE and issues with immigration. There you see a Mexican flag. But I have seen some other signs referencing, for example, the war in Gaza and other items. So if we still have Jermont, I wanted to ask him if you can describe sort of the tenor. Is it predominantly ICE and other topics that people are speaking their mind about as part of this crowd? You're noticing it's a wider scope of commentary?
Yeah, I'm going to get to that question, but I also want to show you at the end of the demonstration, look who we have marching right behind this group. Chicago police, they are out and the tail end, making sure that no one disrupts the demonstrators, but also making sure that the demonstrators do not do anything nefarious. As to regards to your question, Marie, yes, there are many people for various reasons. 1 second, I'm gonna make sure my photojournalist is safe here as he moves. Okay, I'm gonna get back to this question. Let's walk this way, Pat. I'm walking down north on State Street. Chicago police are at the tail end of this demonstration, which obviously took about 15 minutes for the entire group to come through. In regards to your question, Marie, yes, many people have various reasons for their demonstration. We should point out that the ICE actions is just what has driven most people out. Yes, they have people who are demonstrating the war in Gaza, but the consensus and what I've heard from people who are out here today, they say no matter the cause, they said, quote, no one is illegal. We are all humans. So therefore their cause for being out here, it may be for Gaza, it may be for ICE, but they see a unified solidarity, and that is what they're hoping for as they continue to navigate this process. So I want to see, I know we had our photojournalist, Sam Vega, he's on the scene. Sam, you were able to witness at least 2 people being detained earlier today. Can you talk about if they were agitators or something of that nature?
You never know in these situations if they're an agitator, if they're, part of an organization or what. The fact of the matter is they were detained, and we don't know where they're headed or what they got.
But police, they were just had to get that group. I know we have so many people out here. Can you describe the police action of what you saw?
I just saw police detaining 2 individuals, and they took them in for questioning by a squad car and tried to calm them down. They were pretty heated. And there's a lot of emotions running through the crowd tonight. So.
You've been walking with this group for the tail end as we continue to show this picture. Sam, let's just talk about it. You've seen them navigate all throughout the streets tonight, right?
I have. I've been on foot with these guys and girls for about maybe an hour and a half now. And, they're trying to take over the streets, basically. They've broken apart from what police have told them to do.
We're going to pause right quick because this is what they did not want. As this group passed down State Street, we can now see that some of the SWAT cars have been defaced by police. There's some profanity on these vehicles, so we are not going to show you all of this. If our photojournalist can pan quickly to his right so we won't show the profanity, but this is what this group did as they marched down North State Street. This was not here before this group came. These cars were parked. Now we have at least several Chicago police squad cars that are now defaced with graffiti. Now, is this considered peaceful? And one would argue no, but this is what Chicago police are dealing with now, as they have several vehicles that are now, that were parked here along State Street, that are now been defaced with various graffiti. Things can be replaced, but this is not what Chicago police would consider peaceful when you have taggers and or vehicles being defaced like this. Again, we are not trying to show you all of the words because there is profanity on these vehicles, but again, Joe and Maurice, remember this group was walking here on North State Street, close, and it took them about 15 minutes to pass, but this is the end result when in fact they passed and they saw what were clearly Chicago police vehicles and squad vehicles unmarked, but you knew they were squad vehicles. We do not know if in fact officers were inside these vehicles when this took place, but obviously by the time this group passed, this is the aftermath, and one can say this is not considered peaceful demonstration. So Chicago police are going to continue to monitor this group, and that's why they're watching on the tail end to see what they're doing. As you heard our photojournalist Sam Vega say, he witnessed various people getting arrested. I saw 2 people getting detained. Maybe this could be the reason why police are taking people in if they see people doing illegal acts and or nefarious acts as well. Back to you, Joe and Marie.
Sure, Jermont, thank you so much. We appreciate you showing us that.